the five, I think the old one, the 5 shilling thing, I think is what is commonly used all over, I think Africa especially. But I think for now, we have almost encouraged the stopping of that method. I think the rationale on how it used to work is, how it works is that the fact that the intestines are not coming out to expand the sac, which is just after the muscle. You know, our tummies, the first thing which is on the most outside is the skin, then there is fat, and then there is muscle. Then inside there is the cavity with the intestines. When you have a hernia, it's when there's a space now within that muscle. The skin is just being pushed forward. So the shelling, once it is applied, it keeps the intestines out and it doesn't get a chance to come out and stretch the skin. Now, if that doesn't, if the hernia is not, the intestines are not coming out a lot, the hernia then gets time to, the muscles gets time to squeeze and close. However, over time, and I'm speaking for a referral side, it's also sometimes a bit risky because if a child is crying, usually the intestines just pop out. When they pop out, if the coin is put there over time, several months, for those who don't, the hernia doesn't close very easily, is the skin is constantly hit to the metallic thing. So the intestines come, they hit the skin against the metallic thing. And then sometimes you get a wound on the outside. So if that wound definitely is not managed and there's a coin on it, then it can get infected and the rest. The worst case scenario is, of course, if the wound extends and then there's a hole and you get evisceration when the intestines come out. But that is also on the very extreme. What we usually propose nowadays, and what now I'm teaching the surgeons who are in the program, is we have to classify your patients. We know 70%, this speaking for umbilical hernia alone, not inguinal hernia, is that 7 out of 10 children with umbilical hernia, it will close by itself. And that's why if you read the books written by Caucasians, they actually say all children will have the umbilical hernia closed. But umbilical hernia is negroid. It's more of black population. We have bigger umbilical hernias. You remember some communities, it was taken as a sign of beauty, and people will even put things on it. And the bigger it was, the more beautiful you are assumed to be. And it's very prevalent in the African or the black population. We have seen cases for which once the intestines go in, they don't come back. What we call obstructed or strangulated hernias. So since we have more cases than the whites who have written more books and perhaps written a lot of articles on Google, we now know it's different. It behaves differently. And we have even thesis from part of our master's student to prove that it can complicate. So once we identify these 30%, the ones that it won't close by itself, the method we prefer is actually to operate on them. And these 30%, the things to just mention for this conversation are the children who are above 3 years. If you have reached 3 years of age, it's unlikely that it will close by itself. So those ones, it's best if they undergo surgery. Remember, the surgery is a short surgery. It's usually around 20 to 30 minutes. Those that it has obstructed, whether you are 1 month or 2 months, or 1 year or 2 years, if the intestines go in and they can't come back, you're obstructed, you require surgery. Then there are those with huge ones, where if you can put more than 2 figures into that umbilical defect, that one might take quite a while without reducing. So then we propose that you operate. So the challenge that now we have, the one we usually ask by mothers who come with a coin is, I did that with my first baby. and it closed. Why don't you want me to do the same with the second baby? And since the other one worked. Actually, what you usually just say is if it closed, it was going to close anyway, whether the coin was applied or not. And if it wasn't going to close, the coin usually doesn't change much. But the advantage of the coin those ones we don't usually support. But if you're in an environment where perhaps you can't have any medical care and you are stressed by it, some others are just stressed by the swelling. So putting the coin, they are not seeing the swelling. So long as they are not seeing the thing popping up, you are fine. If it pops out, they'll call you at midnight. So currently then, in summary, is there's 30% of children with umbilical hernia who require surgery. The 70% of umbilical hernias close by themselves. That the story that one might read on Google that they never obstruct is not entirely correct. It's written for the Caucasian population. For the Black population, we have evidence and we have written papers on it. It can obstruct, and you can have that bowel which has twisted or which has blocked, which has gotten blocked there, actually undergoing what you call ischemic, or they don't get blood and definitely they die off, then forcing a major surgery.
Okay.
So comprehensive, I'm so educated.
Okay.
Okay, I've also understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot
Yeah.
from that.